Welcome, wrestling friends, to a special edition of Smarknado. I'm your host, Eric Druckman. With me, as always, the Danaconda, Dan Cesnit. Dan, how you doing tonight?
I am fantastic. I made it through another Monday. We're here. What's going on?
Not too much, man. Actually, a lot, because right in front of us, we have one of the top up-and-coming wrestlers today on the U.S. independent scene. Friday, October 27th at Pro Wrestling Grind Celebration Day 2, he will make his grind return against a debuting Colin Delaney we had the pleasure of having last week. But today it's all about A-Game, Joseph Alexander. Joseph, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Thank y'all for having me on. I appreciate y'all. I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
Welcome
Fantastic.
to the show.
We're happy to have you. I say this is a long time coming because I watched you. You know, I'm one of the regular guys who's in the front row at every Pro Wrestling Grind show. So I watched you come from, the start with Logan Black. You've blossomed into, who maybe there's an argument to be made that you are, the top rising guy right now. There's so many that are making impact, but I think you kind of bring something unique to the game with your amateur background, your throws, and you bring a different element to Pro Wrestling Grind. So very happy to have you on.
Appreciate that. That's very kind words, man. Thank you.
Sure, man. And first and foremost, we ask every guest on the show, what are your earliest memories of pro wrestling, and who did you enjoy watching as a kid?
It's no secret. I love Kurt Angle growing up. I think my two favorite wrestlers of all time probably so weird. It's like Kurt Angle and then Jeff Hardy. So it's like a totally different spectrum of wrestling. But those are probably my two favorite growing up as a kid. And then like my earliest memories, I say this like all the time, but when I was like a child, like a baby, my brother had won tickets on the radio, like called in on some radio show and like won tickets to like SummerSlam. And it was that was the one that they did in Jersey. I think that was like '03 or something like that.
Good.
And I think that was the one where the opener was Mysterio versus Angle.
Okay.
So that was just like, I think from there, honestly, like that I don't even remember like much after that. I just remember being in the setting, being in the. I don't even remember like watching the match. I just remember being in the setting and being in the arena, and just kind of like feeling the experience. You know what I mean? Just kind of the aura of it all. So I definitely remember that much, and that's kind of what just hooked me all into it. I think as a kid, I wasn't really like into like super cartoony stuff, and my parents would always joke about it, but I was always into like either Jerry Springer or wrestling. It was something had to something had to go on the TV. I was never like a cartoon baby ever. Yeah.
Oh my God, the Jerry Springer element makes me think like, why aren't you a little bit of a hardcore wrestler? But
it's crazy too, because the Jeff Hardy being one of my favorites too. So it's like I don't know. It's just that was like really entertaining for me as a kid.
Yeah, and it's so funny that you mentioned that match too of Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio, because your opponent on Friday, who we had on last week, Colin Delaney, brought up just how amazing Kurt Angle is, how he's not ever on anyone's Mount Rushmore, and then cited the fact that with Rey Mysterio having a completely different style, you could make an argument that his best match, Rey Mysterio's best match, was against Kurt Angle. So that just speaks to just his adaptability, what he can do in the ring and stuff. And that's so cool that you were influenced by, that whole match. What an inspiration.
I'm hitting the tangent, and here we go, because I was going to make mention of what Colin had said last week about Kurt Angle, like sort of being underrated. So that's awesome that you had brought him up. And for Smarknado World, I was going to save this story for the next episode, but I actually randomly ran into Jeff Hardy and his family at the local grocery store around the corner from my house like 2 days ago, which was just like wild, like jaw-dropping, like random ass grocery store that I just kind of ran into Jeff Hardy at. I'm not going to take any more interview time with it, but it was just wild to me. And all I could say was like, excuse me, sir, I don't want to bother you with your family, but I'm a big fan. And I hope he appreciated it. That's all I'm going to say. But let's continue with the A game focus.
Yeah, man. Dan, I would be acting the same way right now if
No, I
Wow.
mean, you would have to mention it. You would. I would.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would be the same way.
Mhm. So I guess you kind of already jumped into the next question. You would say that when you saw Rey Mysterio versus Kurt, and correct me if I'm wrong, that was like the moment you kind of wanted to do it.
I feel like honestly, like I know that that was the earliest memory I have of it. The moment that I knew that I wanted to do it, man. I mean, I was just always like the wrestling kid, you know what I mean? Like I was just always I feel like I've always wanted to do it. You know, I've done every avenue of everything. I've played every single sport. I've done everything, but every single time I would go right back to watching wrestling or go back to being wanting to be a wrestler. So I don't recall when was like the first time I was just like, okay, this is what I want to do. But I do remember when I was just like, okay, I'm gonna take the leap. Like I remember just being in my apartment and my friend Sam, who was on just on his laptop, he was on Reddit and he was checking out like a thread and he was like, oh, there's a school in Brooklyn, like X amount of stops away. We should head out and check it out. And honestly, I was just like, all right. At that point, I was just like, okay, let's do it. And that was just when I was just like, all right, like like I've always talked about it, I've always dreamed about it, I've always been the fan. So why not? Let's just do it. So yeah, I feel like it was just always something that was written for me. Like it was just always something that was just meant to happen.
Right on, man. So what going through your formidable years, thinking about becoming a wrestler, what was your initial vision of who you thought you were going to be as a wrestler?
I've always just wanted to be like just like on the grandest stage. Like if when you're a kid, you always think like you want to be like, holding the biggest belt up and the fireworks are going off and it's the closing out of WrestleMania or something like that. You know what I mean? Something big, something huge. But as I've grown older, I've just realized that I've wanted to take this opportunity to really just like enjoy just living this dream that I've been so blessed to do. And taking everything like people I get to like travel and it doesn't matter if it's like a couple hours away or it's halfway across the Midwest. I get to travel and do this, and there's people that have never seen me wrestle before, and then I'll go and wrestle a match, and then they'll come out after the match, similar to how you and I met, and just be like, hey, like, yo, that was dope, you know what I mean? And that
Yeah.
I feel like that for me is more what I kind of want now. It's to kind of just go and reach out to as many people as I can in different segments, in different parts of the world, and just like grow that following, grow that base, but in a way where it's kind of it's genuine. Pretty dope like that.
Absolutely,
You
man.
certainly opened eyes. Certainly opened eyes. And your absence was noted, right? When you weren't around, people said, when's he coming back? And that's the mark of a really, an excellent performer is, you're on whether it's a band on hiatus or an athlete that's injured, you want them back quickly. When are they coming back? So, you got something special brewing. I'll say that much.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it was really rough. I mean, like, I had gotten like hurt prior, like my rookie year, like my very first year working shows. I got hurt, banged up my knee, and then the very next month was I debuted on Grind against my trainer Logan, and when I was hurt, then I was like, oh man, like I was kind of in like a shitty spot, but I was able to work through it quickly and recover pretty easily and all that stuff. But then when like the injury happened with my shoulder, it was the very first weekend of July. And, after a week had gone by, I was like, okay, cool. 2 weeks had gone by. I was like, all right, I still like, this is still 3 weeks had gone by, then a month, then 2 months, and I was like, all right, this is starting to like really rack on me. And so the absence was definitely getting to me, but then like, I had to get off my phone. Like I had deleted Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff for like a month or so. I think the entire month of August I wasn't active on any social medias. But when I had got back on September and stuff, and I had started going back out to shows and just kind of showing face, and people would tweet at me like, "Oh, just saw A game," or "Oh, just when is A game coming back?" Like that would really lifted me up because it just made me felt like, okay, like all right, I'm doing something right, obviously, but the work is being noticed, and I'm not being I'm just not being passed under the bridge.
Right on. Right on.
Sure, man. Yeah. So, watching you wrestle, no secret that you do have accomplished amateur background, with your throws and, all the suplexes you do. How did that benefit you during your training as a professional wrestler, and in also with your wrestling today?
It was like so like it was a gap, you know what I mean? Like it was different to kind of take a leap from professional wrestling from amateur style wrestling. Like it was a gap because everything's different, it's a totally different concept. Um but in terms of just the athletic ability and the moves and the wear and tear on the body, it's kind of it's kind of all the same. Like combat, I think, like, hot take for all, like, I don't know, but like combat sports, I feel like combat sports and like professional wrestling, like, you're damaging your body, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if it's like football, boxing, whatever you're doing, you're damaging your body um in some sort of way, so you're training it in some sort of way to take and absorb some sort of damage, whether it's training yourself in pro wrestling to take the damage and absorb the damage that we take, or if it's like training in some sort of combat where it's like amateur wrestling where you're training to put a beating on somebody and or absorb the damage that they're going to put on you. So it's I feel like you're, regardless, you're putting yourself through something. um did it help? Yeah, I feel like, yeah, it helped. It helped give me an avenue to be creative because, yes, there's like there's a big surplus of people who are technical wrestlers, or people who are like shooters and or stuff like that, and you get those styles a lot, and you see a lot of people portray that, but I feel like when you've really lived it for all your life, and it's been installed in your brain, you can kind of weed out the little bunch of people that kind of make it their unique own style. Like you see the Matt Mikowskis, the Tom Lawlers, you know what I mean? Like you can see where they make it their own, and they kind of mesh it into, like, it's not a shoot style, it's not a technical style, and
Mm,
I like to throw myself in that like little ball there too, because it's like
right.
it's kind of a best of both worlds, and it's very unique, and I think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I honestly, I kind of totally derailed there too.
Oh,
I just
no, no, it all made sense. My follow-up question to Eric's is more or less like, being that, like you said, a lifetime of combat sports, of amateur wrestling, or when you see these MMA fighters come over like Tom Lawler and Mikowski, like, how hard is it for your brain and your muscle memory to stop you? Like, I'm not saying in amateur wrestling you're trying to hurt somebody necessarily, but it's a lot different than something where you're trying to protect somebody. What's your
right,
brain sort of telling you to sort of stop doing what you did for
right,
so long?
right. I mean, like, clearly, like, you're not gonna go in there and be like, all right, like, it's time to kill.
Yeah.
But it's you just gotta. I remember training with Tracy Williams. This is probably the best way to put it. I remember training with Tracy Williams, and like we were just rolling around, just kind of just flowing and flowing. And after a couple minutes, I was like, pretty winded, and he was all right. He was doing fine. And after we had finished rolling around, he was just like, try not to be so flinchy and tight and like aggressive. Like, you could be aggressive and be intense, and that's what we want. I feel like that's a big part of my wrestling that stands out is my intensity and my aggression when I get out there. But it's about those quick flinches, those quick movements, those those grips where you're tight to the body and stuff like that. Like those little intricacies of that, like that little intricacies of in your brain, you got to kind of peel back a little bit, because like that's like that raw competitor, like, oh, I can't let him get up here, or I can't do this here. Like, if you see, if you there's like a running joke, like if you throw something at a boxer, they're gonna put a guard up, or something real quick. So it's those quick twitches and reflex that you gotta just kind of tone back a little bit. But I don't think that it was like a hard. Once he pointed that out, it was just like a quick fix. Like you could make it look real good, real tight, and real crisp and real clean, but do yourself and your opponent the favors that you need to.
Cool.
For sure, man. So obviously that was like a little obstacle that you had to overcome in learning professional wrestling, adapting to it. What would you say was your biggest obstacle your first year in professional wrestling?
Uh, probably getting to shows, honestly, was like a big obstacle. Was getting like in cars and just getting around and driving, and I was living in the city, so like my first year was very much me living in the city and doing strictly like my student shows and stuff like that, so that was cool. But then I started like trying to branch out, and like those first bunches of drives that you do when you're just starting out are those are tough, bro. Like those get a little rough, man. Like you really get accustomed to what's it gonna be like for the next, like, however long you want to do this for and however far you want to take it. But you get accustomed to it pretty easily. But those first few are definitely rough. I think my first real drive that I did was Detroit, and that was like like, I mean, like I was like, whoa. I never in my life had been in a car for 11 plus hours and just been like,
Oh
all right,
man.
brother, we're
I'll,
going.
Here's what I'll tell you. If you are gonna start, making cities, making towns as they call it, get
Yeah,
yourself a vehicle with heated seats. As a man that has
yeah,
done lots and lots and lots of long distance road trips, that's the only thing I could recommend is heated seats, because they will do your back wonders. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah, definitely heated seats, or try to get like one of those like little lumbar supports on the bottom of the of
You
the of the driver's seat. Those are good
Mhm.
too.
for
But
sure.
yeah, those first few hauls were definitely the biggest like first test for me. I think the wrestling came real good and quick to me. Maybe finding out who I was too was a real big one. I'm still finding out who I am in wrestling as well, but finding out who I was at first was a real big one. I think A game, and obviously it's not that's no secret. Like you'll talk to anybody and they'll tell you, but like I think A game from 3 years ago to like now, it's definitely a big leap. Um, but you got to kind of go through the ringer and figure things out yourself. But those are two of the big adjustments that I needed to make when I first started out, I guess. Yeah.
Cool.
So you know, uh, I would say it's your second year, right? The opportunity with Pro Wrestling Grind came about. How walk us through that? How did that opportunity come up?
So I was, man, I want to say like this is probably like January or February. So I was wrestling in Maine at one of their like other
Limitless,
promotions.
right?
Nah, this was not even Let's Wrestle. I think I was like at
Not
some
even
other.
Let's Wrestle. Okay, then that's
Yeah,
where my knowledge ends.
yeah. So it
Yeah,
was like some other promotion. I forgot what it was. I forgot what it was, but the people were kind of associated there with like the Let's, family and stuff like that.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
it was more or less the same crowd. So I had they had booked Rip Bison on that show. They had booked Perry, and it was me. I think there was someone else. It was me versus Bobby Ocean, I think. and Rip was also at the show and whatnot. And then that same weekend, I was up there with Logan Black, my trainer. So we had went up there. He did a seminar for the dojo students at Limitless, and we did the training there. And then I did another seminar the next day. So Rip had seen me like the whole weekend. Rip was just seeing me the whole weekend, like train, all that good stuff. And then he had seen me work a match, the next day at that show. So, he came up to me and he was just like, yo, listen, like, what are you doing for so and so? You're really putting work in, and I see it, and we want to give you an opportunity. And I was just like, bro, like, yeah, let's do it, bro. Let's do it. So, so we locked that in, and then shortly after I got hurt, and it was up in the air for a little while, and Rip was putting in a replacement. This is a little me and Mike Skyro's beef lore for you guys.
Yeah.
I'll put you on. So the replacement opponent for Logan was supposed to be Mike. Put you onto a little lore for the Mike Skyros A game beef that continuously goes on in the pro grind universe. But anyways, I digress. So I had messaged Rip again and been like, hey, listen, so I'm good to go. Can I come and just do the match? And he was just like, yeah, are you sure? Like, are you doing all right? Like, are you feeling good? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. Like, let's do it. And so the match happened, and when we got to the back, Rip was like, yo, dude, like we'll definitely, we'll definitely be doing this more often. And ever since then, I've just been a part of like that family. And Rip, Delmy, Perry, all of them, they're the best. They took a chance on me, a real chance on me coming back after injury too. You know what I mean? And at that point, when I had that injury, not many people had even known about me at all. So I'm forever grateful for them taking that chance and that like leap on me. So it was really dope, really dope. So that's kind of how that all came to be.
Awesome, man.
For what it's worth on that front, like
Yeah.
I know Eric has been going to grind since day one, if I'm not mistaken,
Mhm.
or really early on, if not. But we've had the opportunity to sponsor matches and do interviews like this with tons of the talent across grind and be associated with it. And I can tell you, like I said to Colin last week, and I said to everybody, it's just a pleasure to be associated with it in any way, shape, or form, to have you guys on. And it's just an amazing promotion. And I'm truly jealous because Eric gets to go, and I moved out of New York. So I'm not close anymore. So I don't get to
Yeah,
go all the time. I have to wait for it to show up on IWTV. But the product is always great, and just the association in general, and being able to talk to you just today is just awesome. So you are
I
spot on
appreciate
with
that.
that assessment, right?
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's I mean it's an amazing place. I always tell everybody that I've ever spoken to about it that like you have to go and experience it for yourself because it's such a vibe. Like it's just got a really unique feel, and I think everybody there is fighting for something. I think like when it's grind day, like when they post like, oh, it's grind week, everybody, like it's a real like excitement. I get really excited. Like I wake up and I'm like, all right,
Hype,
man, like Friday's right
hype,
around the
right?
corner.
Mhm.
It's a
I'm
real,
hyped for my friends. Like I'm hyped
yeah,
for my
yeah.
friends. I'm like, yes. Like it's exciting, right? Like
It
I
is. It is.
totally.
It's a real excitement, and I really enjoy it. So I'm just grateful to be a part of it, man. It's something special. So I like to say
I think
I'll
that.
tell you
it's
what,
such a
I will definitely make a point to get there, and hopefully you're on the card when I do. But if you ever do any shows for any promotions down here in Charlotte, I will be there for sure.
No,
No
I
doubt
appreciate
about
it.
that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah.
You're a
Pros got to
draw of
get their
one
eyes
for
on you.
sure.
Mhm.
I'm a draw nonetheless. There we go. Draw one, but I'm a draw nonetheless.
Hey, one person's paying to see a game down in Charlotte. That's more
There we
than
go.
you never know.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, pro wrestling grind. I always say it's like a slice of Tokyo, Japan, just in Western Massachusetts. It's incredible. It's that you get that whole vibe there, and the passion just comes through in all the performers. So A game, who have been some of your favorite opponents so far in your career?
I've had so I've been, I've been blessed to have a lot of fun matches. I think still Logan Black at Grind, my very first match was probably like one of my like favorites still to this day, just because
Mhm.
it meant a lot. And that was the first time that was the second time I wrestled him. Actually, he was my very first match ever. So for us to just go out there after I trained a little longer and stuff, and then have a fucking a banger. Um, it felt good, and I really enjoyed that. I would say, man, I gotta say, I really enjoyed. I wrestled Steve Pena as well, and that was in a Pure Rules. I wrestled Jordan Blade in a Pure Rules as well, and those were really, really, really fun matches. I enjoy the like real grittiness of pro wrestling as well, and Pena really brought that. So I like that as well, and those are a bunch of fun. I think I was gonna say both of my matches with Kwesi Asante, and all of my matches with Angelo. I wrestled Angelo 3 times and Kwesi twice. Those are like two of my closest friends in the wrestling business, and
Okay.
it's no secret. We're all coming up together at the same time, so I feel like we're not gonna not share the ring more than what we already have. We're probably gonna wrestle each other a million more times, but every single time we wrestle each other, we try to go down some sort of creative avenue or some sort of different aspect and try to do something else, and it kind of exercises our brain as long as a part of our bodies as well, excuse me.
Mhm.
So it's pretty cool that like we all get to wrestle each other as frequently as we have. But that I think those are some of like my better like recent matches and memories right now. I also
Have a
wrestled Manders at Grind too, and that was really fun.
Oh, Manders.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah,
fun one.
I love that match, and you and Jay Freddy too.
Yeah, that one. Oh man, dude, I miss Blue Thunder, man. That's my guy. That's my guy. Like, so Jay
Definitely.
Freddy, I was a big fan of, honestly, when he was doing Ring of Honor, and then when he was doing Beyond when they were going crazy, back in like 2017, 18. So like when like pro wrestling, when indie wrestling, I should say, was kind of going on that resurgence from like 2017 to 2019.
oh,
Um,
that damn
uh,
pandemic, man.
that damn pandemic, bro.
Man, that
Yeah.
shit was
Damn pandemic.
coming
Jay
in
Freddy was like
hot.
yeah. Jay Freddy was like a lot of those like Ring of Honor like uh supercard like undercards as well. Like he would be like a lot of those like like darker opening
Mhm.
matches, and then went to Japan. So I was like super like, yo, like I want to wrestle Jay Freddy. Like when he was at Grind, I was just like, yo, I want to wrestle Jay Freddy. So the fact that I had the opportunity to do so was freaking dope, and that was a really another really good match. I just wish I had like a better footage of it. I have like some footage of it, but I wish I had like a better footage of it, just so I could just watch it some more, because and appreciate it for like what it was. And I
Oh,
wish
for
it was
sure.
longer too, because he wrestled twice that night. So I wish we just went out there and like wrestled forever.
There's still time, man. There's still
There's
time. He's
definitely
coming
still
back.
time.
He's coming
Yeah.
back.
Okay, he'll be back
I
soon.
yeah.
I
So
He'll be
wanted to
back.
say too, you mentioned your little fraternity there of Money Dragon and Angelo Carter and Kwesi Asante. I like Angelo Carter. I saw him at I was at maybe a Blitzkrieg pro show over the summer. I like the tag team he has with Jay George.
Yeah, yeah,
They're pulling it off as just being despicable.
yeah.
Major
I was
heat
just
for
with
them.
Jay George yesterday.
That's all. That's great. He's different too. Like I like how unlike any other character he is.
Yeah,
But I'm not that familiar with Kwesi Asante, but I did see that little highlight video that you shared a couple days ago. Very impressive. Just his move highlights and everything. Yeah,
he's the
I
next
gotta
one, man.
check out more of him.
He's the next one. He's the next one. I think So I think the precedent that like me and Angelo set coming out of T2T was like, we kind of set a standard, and the next generation of students that had came after us blew that standard to the wall. They're killing it right now. I can't wait. Like Quasi's not the only one. Like you'll see a lot more of them start to trickle out pretty soon. But Quasi's the next one, man. You'll see him very soon everywhere. He's starting to make his stamp, and I want him to get with me a little bit more, so I could bring him in and get more faces to see him, because he's a special talent. He's a special
It
talent.
makes those car rides a little easier when you bring up the next class, right? Doesn't
Yeah. It does. It does.
it?
It does, and it is cool to kind of pass on game too. You know what I mean? Like I'm still learning as well, but like at least from what I've learned, I could kind of give it to them so that they're learning it a little bit quicker, and so on and so forth.
Gotta do it. No, it's never too early to start helping the next generation, no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to keep an eye on Kwesi Asante. So A-Game, do you have any aspirations to wrestle internationally? If so, where? And who are some of your international dream opponents?
Yeah, man, I want to wrestle internationally. I definitely want to go to the UK and just, I mean, like it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, they got it all over there in terms of pure style of wrestling. That's where I want to be at. I definitely wanted to be Germany, as well. I wanted to hit, oh man, what was that promotion called? And it just slipped my mind. The pure wrestling promotion out in London, and I totally slipped my mind. But they're doing stuff with Impact right now. I know that,
Okay.
or TNA.
Okay.
I know that they're doing their UK tour.
Yeah.
Pretty soon. So I think there's doing it along with that promotion, but I completely forgot.
TNT.
No, I
thinking
think
of
it's
something
it's
else?
this other promotion called Pure. I think
Yeah,
it's
Oh,
new. It hasn't like come out yet. They haven't like had shows yet, right?
Oh,
no, I
okay.
don't think they've had shows yet. I think they might have had shows, but it's not been under that banner.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, but also Japan. I know that Rips over at Kyoshu Pro right now with Perry.
Looks like he's living it up too, doesn't it?
Doing his damn thing, man. So I definitely wanted to go out there as well and train, work, and New Japan as well. I want to wrestle everywhere: Mexico, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico would also mean the world to me as well, because of just like my heritage and where I come from. So it's like
Yeah.
I want to wrestle everywhere, man. It's like I want to get my fingerprints all over the world if I can, and that would be a blessing to do so.
And you're still so young, man. Like you have so much time, and I look forward to seeing it. I can assure you. And this is, I'm not an ass kisser, man. I kiss ass 40 hours a week for a living. I don't need to kiss your ass. I can say honestly, I'm genuinely looking forward to it, and I think people are ready for it. For
Yeah,
real. And your style translates to every single one of those places that you mentioned in a different way. Um, but I do love that you said, Europe first, because that was kind of the style that got me back into wrestling after a lapse. So it's nice to hear that style is, as appreciated as it is in this
yeah,
company.
yeah, man. I mean, I think that's when British Strong Style was like really popping off, that's kind of what drew me into it too. Like,
Yep.
like we were talking about that surge, like that indie surge back in that little 2017 area. Like the Bucks and all that stuff was like they were pulling me in, but like once I saw that 6-way that they had with British Strong Style, and I started watching their stuff, I was just like, all right, bro, I'm all in.
Is that the
'Cause,
OTT show?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like once I saw that match, excuse me. Once I saw that match, I immediately did a deep dive, and it was just like a rabbit hole. So,
Yep.
Tyler Bate, it just they
Yeah.
are they're special talents and special guys. So it's Their work, their resume, it runs deep, bro. It runs deep.
Yeah,
Pete
man.
Dunne. Pete Dunne is my favorite wrestler on the planet, arguably.
Yeah.
I'll even so much so that I'll call him Butch and be as respectful as possible to that man, because he was him and Tyler Bate, kind of sealed the deal for me coming back to watching wrestling with that NXT Takeover match that they had.
Yeah.
So it's it's what I dig. So like I said, just whenever that's sort of somebody else's wavelength, I dig that.
For sure. Get this man in Rev Pro, get him in Progress Wrestling. I want to see it.
For sure.
So, A-Game, I know we're sponsoring your match this Friday, but I feel like I'd truly be remiss if I didn't mention that November 3rd, 2023, you have perhaps the single biggest opportunity of your professional wrestling career to challenge Shug D for the coveted Pan-African World Diaspora Championship at Paradigm Pro Wrestling. What does this match mean to you? If you were to win, what is your goal as the holder of such a culturally important championship?
Like diaspora is supposed to mean like the collective, all of us of like, the culture and my people. So I just wanted to showcase as much black and brown talent as I can as the champion, as everywhere I can. You know what I mean? That stems from everywhere now, such as the United States as well. But like we were just talking internationally, and it would mean the absolute world. I just wanted to I haven't had a chance to, but I just wanted to also extend. I've been like kind of trolling him on Twitter, and I know he doesn't really do it all, but I also wanted to extend a big thanks to Shug D for even putting me in the position to challenge for the championship, because sometimes you don't really see things in sight for you. You see it from afar and you're like, oh, that would be cool, but like I don't think that I'll be there. You know what I mean? And then when it happens, it kind of takes you it kind of takes you back a bit, and you really have a second to just take it all in. So when I saw the announcement, I had a second to really take it all in, and it was just it meant a lot, man. It really does mean a lot, to even be in the conversation. You know, I as wrestlers, we always battle mentally, and what are we doing? Is it enough? Can I get to this position? Can I get to that position? Am I making the right move doing this? Like, there's a bunch of questions that we always ask ourselves, and to see something like when I saw the graphic, and to feel the man, what would I say, like the sort of accomplishment that I felt seeing it, it felt empowering. It felt like, all right, like me and Shug had wrestled before previously at Paradigm, and we have some unsettled business. So as much as this is an opportunity, it's also kind of to get put a nail in the coffin of our little beef that we had going. But I'm not losing sight of what it means and how much of an opportunity and how grateful I am to even be in the position as well. So yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
Truthfully, win or lose, you're part of that title's history, and that's a
Yeah,
world title, right?
yeah,
We are big fans of Trish Adora's work, Shug D's work, and to watch the sort of passing of that title that had one holder for that whole time, it's just been a really special to watch it the whole way. To have that title become prestigious in such a short amount of time. Um, you know, amongst the culture, that it's really just that impressive to see. So like I said, win or lose, you are part of that title's history now, and I'm really glad for you. You know what I mean?
thank you, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. It definitely, it genuinely means the world, and it means we're taking steps in the right direction. So that's all I could really be thankful for.
Absolutely, man. And also wanted to mention you on the BWI 500. I believe you were what, 176,
167.
167.
Yeah, 167.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I listen to Grapsody every week too, and Yeah, those guys absolutely know what they're righteous Reg absolutely knows what he's talking about and has his finger on the pulse. So for him to rank you that high, I think that speaks volumes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man. I mean, Reg, I like, he had taken notice of me like my rookie year. I think I was like 300 something, and I was like, oh, what the hell? Like, you know what I mean? So and then we started climbing and chipping at it, and then to be 167 this year um really made me feel like, like, okay, like, now I this is all coming out also as I'm coming back from injury, a kind of lengthier injury that I've been accustomed to. So seeing all of this come out as well is just like, okay, wow, like, it's time to hit the ground running, type
Yes.
of thing. And that's just kind of my mentality for it. Like, I'm very thankful and appreciative of it, but I got to prove why I was put in that position. That's just my mindset. I was gone
Yep.
for 3 months, and my resume is only so big, as I've only been professionally on shows for 2 years, been training for 3. So it's at my page is only so long. So I got to hit the ground running and show why I'm in this position and why I should be even higher than
Yep.
than so. So that's just like my mentality going into it. But I still am very thankful about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I want to see you, go to the other coast, go to the West Coast and
Oh,
go to the
yeah.
Pacific Northwest and stuff. Like Chris Hero's got to see you wrestle and get you booked on West Coast Pro because I think there's a lot of guys there that you could mix it up with.
Yeah, I love I went to a Chris Hero seminar and had a chance to like listen to him, and he's just such a good mind, man. He's such an amazing person. Very soft spoken too. Like he
Yeah.
was just like, he had like the whole room just like in the palm of his hands and just talking about just wrestling, and we were all just like,
Yeah, man.
yeah,
It's also nice to see him come back too soon. So
Yes.
yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah, he's got Thatcher, right?
yeah.
He's
Wow.
facing Thatcher. Yeah. What a way to just dive right into the deep end.
Talk about hit the ground running, right?
Yeah. My God.
It's like
Oh my
hold,
God. A
hold my
game versus
hold.
Thatcher, by the way, too. I want to see that, man.
Yeah, I've been actually talking about that match like for like the past couple of days. Like me wrestling Thatcher. Like I don't know, like that's obviously like a dream match, but it's been brought up in conversation with people that I've been speaking to like the past 2 days or so.
Mhm.
So like I think we need to just keep talking about it so that
Yeah,
it
let's
just
manifest it. Let's
Put
make
yeah,
that out
it
there.
just sticks.
Yeah.
I spend all day on Twitter while I'm waiting to talk to people at work, so I could easily make that. They'll think I'm a bot as many times as I'll put it up.
Yeah.
I feel like I was instrumental in Derek Neal and Rip Bison happening. So I think I could make this happen too.
Yes, I think
Okay,
so.
well, let's all collectively put in some P's and Q's and let's
I,
make it
I might
happen.
if
sure, for
if if
sure.
Thatcher versus A Game is a pro wrestling grind match, I will make the drive up. If that's not a selling point enough, Rip and Delmy, I don't know what
There you
is.
go. There you
I don't know
go.
what
We're
is.
gonna we're gonna clip this. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry.
For sure. So what are some of your hobbies outside of wrestling?
You were off for 3 months. You had to do something, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's gonna sound so lame, but yeah, I love to like uh do jujitsu now. It's been really cool. It's gotten me back into like training in the aspect of competition. So that was really, really dope. I train out with Trax Brazilian Jiu Jitsu out in Walden, New
Okay.
York. Super dope people. The guy that runs it, his name is Cody. Super dope guy. They're just so chill, so patient. Um, so just so encouraging. It's a really good group of people, and I've also gotten into like the past 3 months that I was been off. I've also just gotten into just healthier habits, things that like I necessarily weren't doing before, like eating better and going to a gym a lot more. Just not even just not just on my regular lifting schedule, but just taking time to go on walks, runs, bike rides, things like that. Um, and I've been playing Spider-Man 2.
All right. All right.
You
There you
know,
go. There you go. There you go.
I don't really have the time to play video games anymore, so I'm like constantly freaking doing
I
something,
wish, man.
constantly doing something, dude. So it's like if it's not wrestling, it's something with work, or if it's not it's it's I gotta be exercising or doing something, working out as well, or jujitsu. I train twice a week as well, so
Nice.
or if it's not training, that you know what I mean. I have so much on my plate, so I had a little bit of time to kill, so I've been it felt good to pop in a game and play it for a little while, and it's like, man, it's made me feel like a kid again. So
That's excellent. Sometimes you gotta make sure you make that time to feel like a kid again, bro. Like I get that. I get it.
because it's crazy, dude. It's like, dude, I sometimes like you move so fast, and you're just like, dude, what's going on, and
Yeah.
you don't get time to breathe, and then when you finally get time to kind of sit and chill, it just feels so good. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I've been able to build some cool hobbies
Cool.
since I've been out
I
of
like the
wrestling.
jujitsu thing. I'll tell you, a little tidbit. That's in a couple of years, I'm going to have my daughter in jujitsu because I feel like any young woman these days should know how to protect themselves. So I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna have to get my old ass in shape and help with that, or get my ass beat by a child. So
Well, it's better to be the test dummy then.
yeah, true. All right, man.
You'll be looking like Al Bundy in his jujitsu outfit.
I'm okay with that, man. I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. I'm okay with that. But
All right. So A Game, as previously mentioned, this Friday, October 27th, you'll be making your return to Pro Wrestling Grind against a very seasoned independent wrestling veteran in Colin Delaney, who himself is making his debut at Grind. What should we be expecting from this match?
So I actually had the chance to listen to like the last 10-15 minutes or so of the podcast you had with Colin last week. And I was able to hear that you guys asked the same question, and Colin had said that he wasn't too sure, but he was just gonna bring it and so on and so forth. But I just wanted to say that I'm going to be as aggressive as ever, and it's gonna be quite violent, and that's just kind of how I roll.
All
That's just
right.
how I get down. I like to hurt people. That's
All right.
I
I
love that
like
answer
this.
because you might be the calmest person I've ever talked to in my whole entire life. He's like, I just want to hurt people.
I'm like a
Like,
bomb,
okay.
man.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
mean, it's gonna be aggressive. Like Colin has no choice but to bring everything he has because my name's not Colin Delaney, it's A Game, and that's exactly what I do when I get in that ring. So it's gonna be rough and tough, man. I may not have the experience, but I can definitely put my foot in your mouth. So that's
Wow.
kind of how I get down.
I
So
Oh,
I love this. I know we're supposed to be a neutral party here, but I think I know who I'm putting my money on. I'll
yeah,
say
man.
nothing
I'm
well,
all
further.
smiles. I'm all smiles, bro. But I get in that ring and it's a switch goes off. A switch goes off. Definitely.
well, I'm certainly looking forward to seeing it once it gets uploaded to IWTV. As I am with every pro wrestling grind show um in the past. So
Losing you a little bit, Dan.
um I
A little bit of a connection issue. But yeah, while we figure that out, A Game, just want to say, man, thanks so much for being on today. Of course, Dan is going to be there watching on IWTV when it is finally released. And I think that I'm going to go ahead and say a year from now, if you haven't already been the Grind Grand Champion, I think you will be the Grind Grand Champion.
Yeah, man. That's the goal to shoot onward and upwards, man. That's it. It's I know I got some ground to cover. I will be honest. I'm not entitled. I do know that I have some ground to cover. It's been a little while. 3 months it's not a long time, but it is time. So I'm willing to take the step back and prove it. But I do see the Grind Grand Championship in my near future, definitely, bro.
don't know if you guys got me back now or not.
I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
have
yeah.
you. We do have you back, Dan.
Rock on, technical difficulties. Yeah. What I was gonna say is, we really, really genuinely appreciate you coming on. Honestly, we are two really super grateful guys to just be able to chat about wrestling with some of the genuinely the best up and coming independent wrestlers and people. Man, like everybody is just a legit pleasure. Not one person has been even a little bit standoffish, and you just are in a long line of people that we've just been blessed to talk to. So thank you for sure.
Thank you, bro. Thank y'all for having me, man. I appreciate it. You guys do as much as for me, or I can speak for myself for any wrestler. You guys do as much for us as I hope that we do for you. So thank you.
Absolutely, a game. So, sir, before we leave today, where can everyone find you online?
Yeah, I'm Joseph A Game on Twitter or X or yeah, Twitter.
Whatever
Right?
it is.
Whatever it is, it's still Twitter on a URL if you know that.
It's Twitter.
It's
It's
Twitter.
Twitter. It's
So
Twitter.
I'm Joseph A Game on Twitter. Joe.alexander09 on Instagram. And yeah, you can find me there. You can find me at Pro Wrestling Grind this Friday at the Pulaski. It's been a long time, but I will be there. Yeah, man, and you can find me in the arena in Indiana very soon, facing Shug D. So it's gonna be a doozy. We'll be there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that's going to be on IW. Is that going to be on Fight or IWTV?
I think there's still a fight. I think Paradigm's still a fight.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
All right, can't keep track anymore, but thanks so much.
Right. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah. Thank you.
You used to not be able to find any independent wrestling. Now you have too much to even sift through. It's a
Right,
blessing
yeah.
and a curse, right? So, Eric,
You kind of just gotta like open up the home cursor and just kind of whatever shows up there is what you gotta play with.
some pops you watch it. That's kind of
Yeah,
where I'm at these
exactly.
days. If I got the
Too much to
time,
do
right?
to die.
So,
all right, thank you so much, A Game. And
Yeah, thank you.
Dan,
stay fresh, cheese bags.
keep watching wrestling.